The course of the war rests in the hands of the Klingons, and this month, one man's pride may cost the Allies everything. Greetings, lore members. This is the Dominion War. Now, last month, in November, with the help of their new Breen allies, the Dominion was able to push out of its own territory and into the Federation on both fronts, threatening to cut off and surround Deep Space Nine. However, Klingon reinforcements arrived on the front lines to stem the tide of Breen ships. And this month, December 2375, Gowron seeks glory. Gowron arrives at Deep Space Nine to take command of the entire Klingon fleet, and one of his first acts is to send Martok to command the 7th Strike Fleet in a raid on Avenal. The raid does not go well. Martok is easily defeated by the Jem'hadar there, and his fleet is essentially destroyed. Avenal is now well behind Dominion lines, and while Klingon ships are capable somewhat of infiltration, they had to pass through not only the Jem'hadar at New Helena, who were being fixed by the Ice Daggers, but they also had to get past one of the joint orders with Jem'hadar ships, who are very well trained in detecting and defending against cloaked ships. That was before they even got to Avenal, which was being defended by a Dominion fleet, and they were very quickly destroyed as a result. Only Martok made it back with a handful of ships. Gowron does not stop there though. He orders a full, front-wide Klingon offensive, attacking New Helena, El Ardrel, New Gaul, Argelius, Kalondia, Renara, Actium, and Izar. It's plainly, to everyone, a power grab, an offensive based on ego. He wants to win glory. It's clear glory seeking. However, his justification is that he wants to be proactive and go forward in attack so that he can try and catch the Breen off guard. Now, in reality, the moment the Breen see a large number of Klingons show up, they just fade away and leave the Jem'hadar and Cardassians to deal with them. The Breen know, that the Klingons can defend against them, and they know that the Klingons are hunting them. So the Breen just make sure that they're somewhere else, and given that the rest of the allies are just trying to hunker down and hold out, the Klingons are going forward unsupported and are just getting repulsed, each time with casualties. So this is an extremely costly offensive for no gain. Now, Gowron plans to send the remnants of the Klingon Expeditionary Force to Spiridon, which is occupied by one of the Combined Orders, literally the most elite Dominion troops, against Martok's fleet, which is incredibly depleted given the losses it suffered at Chintoka, Septimus III, and then the Breen counterattack. It's basically a suicide mission, and everyone knows it. Now, realizing that this will almost certainly jeopardize the Allied war effort, Gowron is assassinated by Worf, son of Moog, who names Martok the new chancellor. As a result of that, obviously the raid on Spiridon doesn't happen, and the Klingons are ordered to hold back. And actually Martok introduces a new kind of tactic, and that is basically to do what the Breen do, but with the Federation and Romulans. So the Klingons will penny packet themselves out, hide under cloak, wait for the Breen to show up. The Breen see a bunch of Federation ships that can't defend against them, and they'll just go for it because, the Breen are a pirate people after all. They've learned to exploit opportunity when they see it. And then the Klingons decloak, come in, take out the Breen ships. It's a good strategy. It's far better to let the Breen come to them rather than going into Dominion-held territory and trying to find the Breen amidst all the Jem'hadar and Cardassians who are perfectly capable of taking you out. So Martok brings an end to the Klingon raids, probably quite correctly, but those are not the only raids going on this month. As the Romulans begin launching raids, the Romulans in the north lost Delta Sigma 925, the base has been scuttled. There's no way they can mount a large-scale invasion of Cardassian territory anymore, so they're not going to bother. Fuck it. Because the Dominion has now extended out for their offensive and left the rear areas largely undefended, the Romulans can now infiltrate Cardassian territory and basically bomb planets at will. The Romulans strike a huge number of planets, including Dopa, Rashat, Rakal, Felton Prime, Prashaka, Trekla, Seltris, and Omekla. Now, this is somewhat controversial when the Federation finds out about this. Essentially, this was Admiral Tabak doing this all on his own initiative, as basically the only thing he could do. It avoids the Breen and means that the Romulans still make their presence felt. But in many ways, it's actually kind of counterproductive because you already have the Cardassians in rebellion at this point. So going out and then bombing Cardassian civilian targets. Now, again, notionally, the Romulans are going for Breen bases and Jem'hadar garrisons, but they're pretty indiscriminate, and oftentimes those are in the same place as Cardassian civilians. After all, these are Cardassian worlds. The Cardassians live there, so it's not really surprising when a lot of them die. And so it's quite a controversial move, but it certainly demonstrates to the Dominion that they were maybe a bit overzealous in suddenly pushing out, and it also demonstrates a fact that the Dominion seem to have forgotten after they retook Delta Sigma 925, and that is the Romulans are here to stay, and it's almost impossible to get rid of them. And that really brings us to the end of the month. Raiding in and of itself was not a bad idea. The Klingons doing them was the bad idea. Now, the Breen joining the war does not change that the Romulans are still there, and they will punish any mistakes that the Dominion make. And this month, that is what they do. They punish the Dominion, and the Dominion took notice. They will notice. If the Romulans show up and bomb a Cardassian world, the Dominion will say, well, that just turns the Cardassians in our favour. But then if you don't do something about it, or aren't seen to do something about it by your supposed Cardassian citizens, who are members of the Dominion, they are members of the Dominion, and thus should justly expect Dominion protection. And if they don't get that protection, well, are they really going to feel like part of the family, so to speak? And that is then a decision that the Dominion will have to make. So, the Romulans punish the Dominion's mistakes. The Breen have filled them with a newfound sense of confidence that is somewhat unjustified, and despite everything, the Allies are still holding out and look like they'll be holding out well into the new year. And whether it's the Klingons, the Federation, or the Romulans, they'll be giving the Dominion hell. See you all in 2376. Happy New Year.